Hello Virgo, this is Ron from Terror of the Twin Sun checking in again. Here on the streets there's a lot of ambient noise around, so please forgive me for that. There may not be enough clarity, however, I felt the need and desire and drive to go ahead and try a reading here for you, my dear Virgo. Now, there is a movement in July away from the Gemini energy, which was somewhat a beautiful grounding effect for you, your usual normal mental foray and your mental sphere, which usually projects outward as magician-like energy, Virgo. That projection was somewhat grounded in a way during the month of June. Now, the movement over into Cancer will also combine a type of that energy, but also a movement within. I'm not sure which house placement it would be in according to your ascendant. However, I can reckon that the Cancer energy will essentially bring you closer to a mother Earth type of energy. That is nurturing, that is essentially you getting in touch with emotions, and these emotions getting stratified and perhaps crystallized into I want to say a bit of muddy-like energy, like something after a rain. Okay, this indicates fertility more than anything for you, Virgo, and it has simultaneously a grounding and a fertile-like respect with you and your relationships. Therefore, there is a tendency for you to crystallize newness in terms of your relationships. Now, this reading will be concerning that. You can be single, you can be in a relationship, you can be dancing with soul flame twin like energy with anyone within your vicinity. If there's a moment of separation, there could be some bridging that happens that I would like to bring into awareness here. I'm going to also make a step away from prognostication. I think it's unethical and too enamored in the strings and the sinews that make up karmic bonds. And I think it's important for me as a clairvoyant to yes, be able to see that, but not to influence it so that I am projecting onto your reading. I'm going to try this for all the readings now. No more projection. Rather, the celestial spheres will come down and bring their energy into my readings, and that is what I'll interpret as a third party. Okay, so let's go ahead and work with the Aleister Crowley deck from 1986. We'll go ahead and shuffle and center in the energy.
Also wir gehen mal noch ein Stückchen weiter von der Brücke und dann ist man direkt an Corpus Satur.
Sun combined with the Five of Pentacles. Sun again. Interesting. There could be your ego could be shining quite well. There might be a great sensitivity and knowing of the self, as well as consciousness and all its manifestations. Definitely consciousness coming about here. Within your relationships, Virgo, there's a sense of an elevated and stratified ego self that you find through your partner or find through your potential other. Your potential other could also have a bit of Leo in their chart. They could be friendly. They could be also very sensual in a way, with the devil-like energy coming in. There could be an element of obsessiveness that Leo essentially has a tendency for. Lots of fire energy here for you. A few more shuffles. Definitely want her to come out. Okay. Virgo. There has been certainly a bit of tribulation in your recent past. Your recent past, if you're in some sort of entanglement with another, there has been an experience that was essentially left you in a state of regret. I see here separation. I see here an inability to connect on an emotional level. During Gemini season, there might have been someone who was essentially quite flirtatious and perhaps difficult to lock down in emotional entanglement, and you might have been searching for that with them, but it came in the form of regret in the end of it. However, because it comes up in the reverse, so the Five of Cups in reverse, there is also an ability for you to move beyond this. The Star flips over and the Pentagon shifts. Now, the Pentagon is interesting because it indicates the fifth dimension. We have 3 dimensions in the 3D. It is all materiality. It's everything that makes you grounded. The fourth sense is essentially, I want to call it time. I'll just use that for now. Time as a sort of malleable structure that is essentially round or flat, or something that is not so linear, perhaps fluid. Okay, that is the fourth dimension. The fifth dimension is the ability to bring yourself as well as your ego self and disintegrate all of that, and to tap into essentially all that is consciousness and beyond it, and beyond the subconscious, beyond the unconscious mind. And what has been weighing down on you is essentially lifting in Cancer season. In July, you're going to be not as regretful over spilled cups, and there is in traditional tarot an ability to work with two of cups energy that you've been potentially ignoring, you or your potential other have been ignoring. Therefore, there is some positivity with this card, and I'm going to keep it there as past sort of influences within your relationship. Okay. Yes. Also the Seven of Cups energy, and it came up in reverse as well. Seven of Cups. This is also a card of sorrow. This is a card of grief. And it's been really tough for you emotionally, Virgo, within yourself as within others. It's been a high self-criticism and a mirroring effect that has essentially showed you the essential lack therein, that is of an emotional content. It's been quite difficult for you to bridge the gap between these two, which is essentially the Six of Cups energy, which has to do with childlike frivolity. It has to do with friendliness. It has to do with past nostalgia, and it has to do with past life experiences on an emotional sort of wealthy level. There's something missing within this relationship, and that is the Six of Cups. There's been essentially a very, very sort of tough past that you're getting through. This could be also anyone that you may have fell out with a relationship. It was very definitely difficult to essentially get past that, but you are. And how? Virgo, the Eight of Pentacles came through. Eight of Pentacles is all about bounty, and in traditional tarot, one of the pentacles actually falls down as a boon that has left you somewhat jaded. However, you've attained a bit of Zen-like mentality with the way you conceive your 3D aspects. At the same time, the sort of twin-like energy is somewhat separate here. There is a moment of kind of like Four of Swords, grace and resting time, and like sort of counting in your blessings, counting in abundance, feeling abundant on a physical level and a 3D level. Your work may be doing quite well, and you've grown a certain amount of very, very great accomplishments. Okay, and this is making you grounded. This is grounding all the emotional sort of lack, and it's bringing you out of this. It's brought you out of this sort of deep emotional pain and emotional lack that you're getting over, however, are grounding yourself in the month of July. Okay, now I'm going to pull a card for your potential other. Okay, interesting. There's the Six of Cups. There's the Six of Cups. Yeah. Taurus energy. Could be dealing with a Taurus here with the Page of Pentacles energy here. Okay, interesting. That's not positive. Interesting. Okay. Your person and how they feel about this relationship. You know, if you're in a partnership, or if you're if you're in a partnership, it's definitely a feeling of, yes, connectivity and friendliness. However, it's not being recognized. It came up as reverse, or it's not that it's not being recognized, it's there. So there's a connection that is simultaneously nostalgic as well as beyond time, that is ultimately quite friendly and very playful. It's very fulfilling in a way. However, these emotions and this connection is not being expressed to its fullest extent. It's still a subtle energy. It doesn't mean the connection's not there. It just means that it's a subtle force that your partner or your potential other is essentially trying to reconcile with. They're sort of in denial about this connection. At the same time, there's something very grounding about the way they do things. They are a child of Earth, and they make connections through you. You might have got communications that come in very slow ways. They manifest themselves in very slow ways. They're a slow mover. But once they chose the path of love, of friendship, whatever, friends with benefits, or a soul path, or a twin flame path, they will go about it very slowly. And because it comes in reverse, it could mean that there is a speeding up, or perhaps a charging ahead of this slow light energy. Or vice versa. They certainly are sort of on an axis. They're on an axis, and they're dealing with their world problems and having to sort of balance that with what they see in you, which is essentially something Hierophant-like. It's something that's almost like a holy connection that they can't really sort of put all of their energy into right now, because they are essentially going through a massive amount of change. This is also the card of Scorpio. The potential other may also have scorpionic tendencies or complexion of Scorpio within their chart. That is, anything that has to do with transference of energy, great sexual energy, charisma, in a way, not so much airy charisma, but sensuality and sexuality. They're radiating an allure, a dark allure that is essentially pulls you in, showing that they potentially have great emotional wealth with you. However, they are not entirely expressing it because of a self-transformation. This is Dark Night of the Soul energy, a great sort of grounding through slowness and a halting, if you will, of any messages. Therefore, there could be separation between you two, because there's essentially in them, they either see you as going through a transformation, or you are going through a transformation yourself in order to reach this connection. Okay? Now, I want to go a bit further into why the Death card came in. Yeah. Okay. Death card came in because of full energy. Okay? Full energy is all about new beginnings. Aries here as the major arcana. It starts with the first. It's zero. It's null. Okay? And with full energy, it indicates taking a leap of faith. It indicates taking that first step towards a new journey and starting something new. However, because it's in reverse, there is a halting of the full energy, therefore non-foolish-like capabilities. Therefore, they are not willing to take the first step. Therefore, they are not willing to take that leap of faith. They lack faith, essentially, and that's what they're trying to find, is a sense of faith through the embetterment of self, through the dark night of the soul, through purgation of anything that is blocking, in a toxic way, anything that is blocking your connection with this person. Okay. Now, let's see what we have for our dear Virgo. Interesting. Focus energy. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. That jumped out really well too. Okay, Virgo. You certainly are embodying the energy of the Chariot, which is forward movement, which is ambition, drive, which is courage. And there's also a very balanced way you are approaching this, a balance between dark and light aspects. Also, there is a sort of gigantic spiritual pentacle here that both represents the grounded rays that sort of emanate from your body and yourself. You project a competency and a potential for great passion as well as great emotional content, okay, Virgo, which is a very empowering card. You are ready for this connection to happen. However, there is a slowing down of passions here, represented by the Page of Rods. Okay, Page of Rods energy is indicative of, yes, an ability to make communication in a very passionate way. However, this passion is inhibited because of all the stuff that your partner is going through, and you were able to recognize, especially with the Death card, that your partner is essentially, or potential partner is essentially, going through too much, as well as you potentially are going through too much to actually reinstate yourself as a self-made person who's ready for commitment or a connection. And I think the commitment certainly comes in the form of the Eight of Cups energy, or Eight of Pentacles energy, therefore. There's also the, let me slow down a second. There's also the Four of Cups energy, which is, yes, it's goodness, and it comes in the form of the Cups energy past the Three of Cups energy. So therefore, no more fun and games, goodness, and an offer of love that was somewhat, it's being meditated upon. There's a meditation on the emotional content of who you are, Virgo, and you're jumping out of that meditation mode and moving into action, but in slow and methodical ways of passionate communication. However, you're grounded in your sort of overall well-being, and you no longer have a conflict of duplicity, and you certainly are moving forward with trying to make and manifest this connection. Okay, keyword is manifest. How will Virgo manifest this connection? What are the best influences for Virgo to manifest this connection? We have the universe is one of them. The universe is definitely one of them. Okay. We have, yes. Okay. Page of Swords energy, air-like energy. Okay, one more card, please. Yep. Okay, wonderful. There's a possibility you're dealing with a number of signs here. Aries, but the Aries is kind of flaky. We have we have Cancer energy here. We have Taurus. We have Scorpio. We have more Taurus. Yeah, more Taurus, as well as air signs. Okay. Now, don't get hung up on that. There's also a possibility that you will be helped by grounded messages, by messages that are natural. They flow according to the natural whims and flows of the universe. Think elemental earth as a grounding force, for you to talk plainly, as well as from you to talk from a great sense of gravitas, okay, gravity. There's a sort of centripetal force within this energy that is helping you maintain and keep a slow and steady pace towards making this connection happen. At the same time, we have the Knight of Swords, which is kind of a flighty in and out sort of intellectual rapport you may have with this person. There may be a great deal of intellectual conversations that are in and out, and essentially witty more than anything. It's very flighty-like energy, okay, with this. So this is a way to intellectually challenge you, Virgo, as well as your potential other, with not only grounded messages, but grounded messages that project into the ether, okay? At the same time, you're dealing with the universe, and it came up in the reverse, which is a subtle force. You are not really sort of, the universe is on your side, okay? If this is meant to be, it's meant to be, sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. However, you have been not really centered enough to realize the celestial and cosmological influences that have been guiding this connection. I don't know if you're into spirituality, but there are guides and signs that you have not been paying attention to, Virgo. You have not been sort of really sort of letting guide you into a natural flow of communication. The communication may come up as essentially a bit passive aggressive, and because of all the emotional weight that has come in the past position, you're moving away from that, from emotional content. There's a lack of emotional content, generally speaking. It's there, but it's not being acted upon. Now, my highest recommendation is to use your intellect as well as your grounded capabilities as a Virgo to project messages of love that are knowing of themselves and are hopefully going to open up channels of signs and semiotic sort of communications. Okay, that means being open in a very playful way, an intelligent way, to level with your partner about certain aspects that aren't being addressed, particularly emotional ones. Okay, thank you, Virgo. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun, July 2019 reading for Virgo love and relationships. Thank you very much.